Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, November 8th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, and we have a surprise guest with us. You know him very well, member of the Ice Guys fam, Tim York, Goose, as you know him, and love him, hopefully, with us here on this Friday NH show. He volunteered to join us, and I said, why not? And that's the thing to point out to all our viewers and listeners. Alex and I won't bite. If you want to hop on the show and join us, in a guest spot for one of our daily shows, feel free to ask, and we'll definitely try to make it happen. And like I said, it's mostly going to be on days when we don't have already pre-scheduled people with us, like Matt and Calder on the weekends and others. But Friday's one of those days, and Tim volunteered, Goose, and here he is with us. Goose, good to have you on the daily show today.
Good to be here. Good to have a little bit of a distraction in my week. Sitting in Ontario in Mama's house, came for unscheduled visit. And I figured, you know what? It's a 4-game slate, nice and easy. I can probably hold up my end against you two guys. So let's have some fun.
Certainly did. As Alex said before the show started, let's get the F-bomb counter going. Yeah, no doubt. Over under 70 is probably what we'll.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
I take you over.
No, that line is short. That line is short. Oh man, great stuff. So last night was a busy night, obviously, in the NHL. Lots of games on tap. I think the highlight of the night for me is in an absolutely ridiculous funk with the best bets. I just picking the wrong one every day. I mean, look at Ottawa last night. They end up losing to the New York Islanders. So that was disappointing. But other than that, no, it was a really good night. Actually, it's probably the best night of the week for me as far as betting wise. We had a lot of good bets throughout the course of the night. We'll start with Pittsburgh, Carolina, and just Carolina too good, too much for Pittsburgh. And again, the defensive game continues to erode for the Penguins. A nice 5-1 win for the Hurricanes last night in that game. How about Jack Roslovic? 2 goals. He's leading the team with 8 goals. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Not Aho, not Jarvis, not Necas, not Svechnikov, but Jack Roslovic, your leader in goal scoring for the Carolina Hurricanes so far this season. But credit to him. He's a good player. He's always been a little bit underrated, and he's found himself a home in Carolina. Great start to the year for him. The Devils with a 5-3 win against Montreal. Kind of a split. You know, we had a little piece of the Habs on the money line, but a little bigger piece on the team total, over 2.5, which was plus money. So it was good to see the Habs get to 3 at least and cash the team total. But again, some defensive breakdowns. Marty St. Louis he was doing this a lot last night. He's been doing that a lot lately. Just, this team's a shit show, unfortunately, too often in the defensive zone. And we saw it again at times last night. And the Devils with a 5-3 win. Good win for New Jersey just because they're off the road trip. Those are never easy spots, but they took care of business. They beat a team they probably should have beat. So it was good to see the Devils get that win. Like I said, the Islanders beat the Ottawa Senators 4-2 last night. They fall behind 3-0. Took until the third period and falling behind for the Senators to wake up, but they're now below 500. And we're getting concerned again about the Ottawa Senators. Not the start they were hoping for. 6-7 now after that loss last night. This team, man, I said this right on Twitter X after this game ended. This is what we can see sometimes when they're on their game. And I'm talking about the Buffalo Sabres last night. 6-1 over the New York Rangers. They're wheeling that puck around in the offensive zone, making the Rangers look like they're skating in mud. Just phenomenal playmaking throughout the night. I can't even really blame Shesterkin. The one goal was really bad that he gave up, but a lot of it was just not a lot of help in front of him. He gets pulled, but again, it was a collective team, bad night for the New York Rangers, especially defensively. But why can't Buffalo do this more often? Why don't we see this kind of dominance more often? And hell, not just dominance, wins. Why don't we see this kind of consistency more often? We know they've got it in them, and I've said this for years about the Sabres. This is the kind of team they're capable of being, but we just don't see this kind of performance consistently enough from this team, and that's why they've been a perennial underachiever for the last several years. But a very impressive 6-1 win there for the Sabres. They had 6 different goal scorers last night. Dahlin, Cousins, Tage Thompson, Jordan Greenway, Sam Lafferty, Zach Benson, who just came back a couple of games ago. So a great win. Let's not overreact, though. We can't just say, wow, Buffalo's going to go on a run and the Rangers are going to go in the tank because of last night. It is a one-game result. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but definitely a great performance from Buffalo. I just wish we would see this more consistently from them. That's always been the frustration with them over the years. How about the Florida Panthers? The machine is alive and well. I mean, this Florida team, they swept the 2 games against Dallas in Finland, coming back home, really tough spot, coming off the European trip, the jet lag, the time change, all that. And yet they just put the boots to Nashville right away in the first period, and they didn't look back. 6-2 Panthers in that game. I'm telling you what, I'm not there yet with the panic button for Nashville, but man, I'm getting close. This is not a very good start at all for this team. They look like they're out of sorts at times defensively. They're not getting anything from, well, last night it was Wedgwood, but even Soros hasn't been up to snuff so far this year either. And again, they haven't gotten the production and punch offensively that they thought for sure. Guys like Marchessault's really struggled early in the year. And even though Stamkos did find the back of the net last night, his offensive performance has been underwhelming. Yeah. Lots of issues for Nashville. They lose 6-2. System play was a beautiful thing last night. Calgary-Boston, one of the games where the system play was in effect. Team off a shutout loss, bet first period and full game over. The numbers continue to be very strong with that. What a win by the Bruins, 4-3. That overtime was great, by the way, with the Flames and the Bruins. Very exciting, and Brad Marchand ends up getting the game winner with that. And the 4-3 win there. Want to update the numbers now because St. Louis, Utah also had the first period over and full game over cash as part of the system play. We're now at 21-6 first period over, 17-7-3 with the full game over now after last night's results. So system play continues to be a gold mine. It also hit like a Utah-St. Louis game with Utah getting a 4-2 victory in that game over the St. Louis Blues. Dallas with a 3-1 win against Chicago. It just seems like they always put Chicago in a brutal scheduling spot when they play the Dallas Stars. It's just the weirdest, damnedest thing, and it happened again last night, but a 3-1 win for Boston in that game. We saw Winnipeg. What a performance by Connor Hellebuck. I thought it was an even game, and I thought as the game went on, Colorado became the more dominant team as far as territorial play and offensive zone time, but it was Connor Hellebuck kind of exercising some demons from just a awful first-round playoff series against the Avalanche for him last year. And how about this Winnipeg Jets team, 13-1? You know what's great about the Jets and the 13 wins? They've won 6-5 games. They've won 5-4 games, 5-3 games. They've won games where they've scored 4, 5, 6 goals. And then the last couple games, back-to-back shutouts against Utah and Colorado, showing they can win lower-scoring games too and play good defensive hockey. So they're the bee's knees right now. What more can I say about the Winnipeg Jets? Now, can I see this for the full season? We'll see. I'm not there yet, believe it or not, with Stanley Cup contender for Winnipeg. Believe it or not, with a 13-1 start, I'm still not there yet with Winnipeg. But I will say they've been damn impressive. Hellebuck has clearly erased the concerns I had with his second half and his preseason performance because he's been awesome so far here in the regular season, and a big win for the Jets. Like I say, it's not going to bring back it's not going to take away all the pain of the playoff loss, but it does feel good when you beat that Colorado team last night. Vancouver, 4-2 against LA. That was a winner for me with the Canucks. Good spot to fade LA. Third game in 4 nights on the road, back-to-back wins there. 4-2 win for the Canucks there after the 2 wins that LA had to end that road trip. Very nasty incident, too. Tanner Jeannot clipping Brock Besser, cleared predatory hit late, contact to the head, rightful game misconduct. That's about all he can do right now is hit people and lose fights. That's about it, Tanner Jeannot, for the LA, for anybody right now. He doesn't give you a lick offensively. He loses every fight that he's in. And pretty much and he gets someone, when they're not looking in a dirty hit. So that's not much value right now out of that guy for your hockey team. But Vancouver gets the 4-2 win against the Canucks last night. And then San Jose, valiant effort, but they fall 5-2 to the Minnesota Wild. Great bounce back for Minnesota to start this road trip after probably their worst game when they lost 5-1 at home to LA. Kaprizov, didn't I say he'd bounce back? I said the Kaprizov over 2.5 points even would be worth a look. And because he had two games without a point in a row, he had 7 multi-point games before that, and he has a 3-point night, 3 assists for Minnesota in the victory. And how about even in a losing cause? Macklin Celebrini, my gosh, 2 goals last night. He's got 3 he's played 3 games, 3 goals already, and I think 4 points in the 3 games for Macklin Celebrini. He's played basically 2 full games and a period of 1 game. So that's what we've seen from him, and he's been phenomenal. This guy, what he is doing in just 3 games of hockey in his rookie year on a bad hockey team, it's really remarkable. I'm not fucking around anymore. After that game ended last night, I took the Calder bet on him. I had to. It was just, if he maintains even somewhat of a pace like this for 82 games and stays healthy, and he did have an injury, so let's see about the health situation. But if he maintains this kind of pace somehow, he's going to be a slam dunk to win the Calder. The voters are already, like with Bedard last year, they will do everything in their power to give the number 1 overall pick the benefit of the doubt, in his rookie year. So unless Macklin totally hits a wall or has a sustained injury that keeps him out for a long period of time, to me, he's become already a pretty decent favorite, and he's not priced like it yet. So jump on that now, in my opinion, Macklin Celebrini. And I know Alex said something in our group chat about it as well. So he definitely agrees. Alex, to me, Macklin Celebrini, you're still getting a great price just based on the small sample size. I get it, but boy, he is looking damn impressive here in his first 3 games in the NHL.
Well, yeah, let's start with that game with the Wild and the Sharks. I went out to watch that game last night, and like I said, I like doing that sometimes, especially when involving the Wild. Just get the feel of the fan base, if nothing else. But the biggest takeaway was a shout out to Dieter, who I was sitting with, who mentioned and noticed this. The Wild were skating rings around the Sharks the entire night. The only guy who showed up in a black uniform was Macklin Celebrini. And like I said, not just the numbers that he's put in these these 3 games, the fact that he clearly stands out amongst the rest of that team as being the best player. It's no different than what we saw last year with Bedard and the Hawks. When Bedard was gone, the Hawks were absolutely nothing. We saw where the Sharks, right off of the first game, they looked good, and then they fell flat. They were able to kind of rally back, but they need him to be even remotely competitive. And that is the key when you're looking at the Calder Trophy. He's the most valuable player of the worst team in the league. He's not going to win the Hart Trophy because of that, but he could certainly win the Calder, being that he's a rookie and being already the most important piece. So, yeah, plus 400, plus 300, grab plus money now, because if he keeps this pace going, by the time we hit Christmas, he'll be a favorite, and that -9 will just hang around all season long, just like it did with Bedard. So that's definitely something that took away. But the Wild, I mean, they absolutely played their asses off, and to come back after, like I said, just laying an egg in that LA game, they did what they had to do. You beat bad teams by margin. That's how you show you're a good team. So it was an impressive win for the Wild. Having had those bounce backs, and like I said, being able to kind of steady the storm as they go on the road. Look at that Chicago-Dallas game, like you mentioned. Yeah, the Hawks always get screwed with that always a second of a back-to-back with Dallas, and then they fly in, get in late. And, like I said, they say it's a quick flight, but it's like 2.5 hours, and then it takes them forever. Anyway, they didn't show up. Arvid Soderblom showed up again. He's been playing fantastic. That's now his 4th quality start. And it sucks because I actually had the team total over with Dallas, thinking that, okay, he's had 3 good games in a row and he had a win. He's got to lay an egg at some point. He didn't. He's been playing very well and kept them competitive and kept them in that game for a long time. Tyler Bertuzzi got the goal to make it 2-1. And the Hawks were buzzing in the third period. That's something to note now. This Hawks team actually has life in the third period. The offense needs to get rolling throughout the entire contest, but I'm seeing life and signs of this is a team to bet on live, where we couldn't do that at all. If the Hawks had a lead going in the third period, we were fading them immediately. Now it's in reverse. They're down 1. You could take a shot with a draw. You could take a shot with them on the money line, and they could possibly press and come back, because they definitely at least give that kind of pressure late. So that's a good sign to see, even where the goals may not be coming in as consistently as we'd like. at least they're giving that pressure and momentum. They're playing well in the offensive zone and giving themselves some chances. They need the passing to be a little bit cleaner for my taste, but that wasn't the worst loss for the Hawks. Ho hum win for Dallas, and that's what they need. They need a lot of those, right? They need a lot of sleepy 2-1, 3-1 wins. No one gets hurt. Nothing crazy happens. Let's just move along, do our business. Because when you look at how hot Winnipeg is right now, and then everybody else is just kind of falling all over the place. Dallas has to try to keep that pace. So they need those sleepy games, just like I said with Winnipeg right now. 1-0 against Colorado. The Avs have literally fallen off of a mountain. And then now you have this Jets team that just seems to be unstoppable. But we all know, like I said, it's still Winnipeg. There's always something that's going to go wrong with this franchise, one thing or another, and we're just kind of waiting for the bomb to drop out. And now the prices are so damn high, we can't even back the Jets. So it's just kind of, we have to observe it from afar and wait for we have to wait to kind of hear the metal shake before things maybe fall, and then we can try to look to fade them. So those are my takeaways from yesterday.
Yeah, that was the first time I bet on Winnipeg all season last night, and I just like the Colorado spot facing Colorado, a team that knocked you out. Although Georgiev played all right, they didn't score. Finally plays a decent game, Georgiev, and they get shut out. So that's kind of the way it's going for Colorado. How about you, Goose? Your thoughts from last night?
Because my week has been slightly hectic, I've been actually dealing with the later games. So I had Utah, I had Canucks, and I had the Wild on a 3-game parlay, and that all came in. I actually had the Avalanche at +1.5, so that hit. That was a little scared about that. But I don't want to play, like you say, I don't want to jump against. You can't jump against the Jets. You can't take anything because you're paying too high a price. I'm worried about the Canadians. I watching Marty St. Louis last night, shaking his head in his hands last night. That's not a good sign.
No.
Marty's a really upbeat, positive guy, and if he's on the bench doing this, that's not a good sign for Montreal. Senators, again, we all said with the team they got, they should be experiencing another step this year. They're not, even with Allmark and with that team, they should be way better than what they are. And then the other one that caught my eye was the Flames. Now, everybody looks at it and says, it was a 4-3 game. They were competitive. Go back and watch that game. There's chinks in their game that's starting to show up again. I'll be honest with you. As a guy that lives in Calgary and gets to watch them a lot, I'm going to start fading them now, depending on the circumstances, depending on where we are in the schedule, right? You're going to have to pick your spots, but they're getting sloppy, and you can tell there's a frustration building in that building again. So if you're betting the Flames, be careful. Be very careful. So
yeah, for me, it's just this blue line is finally starting to play like the blue line I thought they were coming into the season. That I didn't think there was a lot of depth. I didn't think it was a plus defensive-minded blue line coming into the year, and we're starting to see them give up the goals a bit and give up odd man rushes and turn pucks over in bad areas of the ice. I mean, we're starting to really see that creep into Calgary the last several games. And again, not what you want to see after early in the year. I thought some of those numbers, though, they were getting bailed out a little bit by goaltending early in the year from both guys, Vladar and Wolf. And now all of a sudden, those chances, those grade A's that Calgary maybe gave up early in the year that weren't going in, now they're starting to go in for the opponent. So that becomes the issue. I'm still coming into the year, didn't love that blue line, and we're starting to see that, they're having some issues back there the last few games. All right, let's get into Friday. We will begin with the Detroit Red Wings and the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is your annual Hall of Fame game taking place here at Scotiabank Arena tonight. That's always Friday in November, a Friday early in November when they do this. And this is the game tonight with the Hall of Fame inductees in the house, with the ceremony, of course, being on Monday. A very good 2024 class. Jeremy Roenick, Colin Campbell, Chrissy Wendell, Shea Weber, Pavel Datsuk, Natalie Darwitz, and David Poyle in the builders category. So a great Hall of Fame class this year. Toronto -190, home favorites, 6 being the total here in this one. Now, Toronto is starting to build a little momentum. They had the 2 losses in a row. They had the 4-0 shutout win over the Boston Bruins on Tuesday night. Anthony Stolarz continues to dazzle in net. I thought that was one of his best games. He's played great, I think, every night for this team. Thought that might have been even one of his absolute best games because he had to face some really good chances, and he was just on top of it. He found the pucks. He was tracking the puck well, didn't give up too many rebounds. He's incredibly athletic for a big goalie like he is. So, boy, it was
he moves around really good. He really does.
Absolutely, he can. He moves extremely well around the crease for a goalie of his stature. He'll be in net tonight for the Leafs. It was just a question of who was going to get the start tonight because for the Leafs, it's a back-to-back. They're at home against Montreal tomorrow night. Cam Talbot gets the start for the Detroit Red Wings here in this matchup against the Leafs. Kind of not surprising. He's from down the road here in Ontario, and he's off back-to-back very strong performances in victories against Buffalo and Chicago. 2-1 and 4-1 wins for Talbot and the Red Wings the last two starts he's made. So we'll see if he can play well once again here against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Detroit building a little momentum after a rough 3-game losing streak with wins against Buffalo and Chicago. This is a step up, though, for the Red Wings when you go from Chicago and Buffalo, obviously, to taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We did see Detroit with a 5-4 overtime win in Toronto late in the regular season, and Detroit's actually had some success here in Toronto. The last 3 times they've been at dating myself with that, Scotiabank Arena. Detroit has won 3 times in a row here in Toronto, 5-2, 4-2, and then the 5-4 overtime game. So I think it's a competitive game. I'm not on either side, but I'm not on Detroit because this is a Leaf team that I don't think they're satisfied just beating Boston, right? They lost a few in a row. They want to get on a bit of a run here. I think they bring it. I think Detroit brings it. 2 teams that are playing with a little bit more confidence now coming into this game tonight. But I do like the draw a little bit. I think we could take a shot here with this draw. Nice upward price of plus 340, plus 360, even in some spots. Overtime, the last time they played in Toronto. That's what I like more than anything here in this game. Even the totals, totals, I'm not all that interested in. There are a couple props I like in this game, but as far as pregame side or total, the only thing I like here is a little piece with the draw here with Red Wings and Leafs. Alex, what do you think? Detroit, Toronto.
Yeah, I grabbed this last night at plus 345. This is as high as plus 380 at FanDuel, so definitely shop around to get that. But I like the draw here as well. And like I said, obviously Toronto, we always tend to lean toward the draw. But like I said, with Detroit, I think we could see this kind of being a more, like I said, low, slow pace start. There's a lot of trends here to the under as well. So it just has that kind of a feel. Friday night game, like I said, Toronto having Montreal on deck, which, of course, that game just always means a little bit more to them. See this one being kind of a 3-3, 2-2 kind of a battle after 60 minutes. So give me the draw. I got plus 340, so definitely shop and get that 380 at FanDuel while still around.
I just got from Danny DeKaiser this morning this message out of nowhere from him. Red Wings in Toronto, 3-game win streak in Toronto. They've scored 4+ goals in each game. And he gave me, well, I knew what the record with the Leafs. Austin Matthews is out, by the way, but he sent it to me, and I already knew what it was, but he sent it to me as well. 36-19-2 for the Leafs without Austin Matthews. It's been very uncanny how this team has been able to play some really great hockey without Austin Matthews. It makes no sense. They should be a worse team without him, and we still think they are, and yet they haven't played like it. I mean, that's unbelievable. In Austin Matthews' career with the Leafs, of course, he's been there from the beginning of his career, 36-19-2 for the Toronto Maple Leafs in games without Austin Matthews. It's pretty remarkable that they've been that good without him. So that's why you don't count him out without Austin Matthews, obviously, in the lineup. And the reason why Danny sent all that stuff is because he's actually working television tonight for the Detroit broadcast. He's a part-time studio analyst for them, especially when they play on the road. So he'll be on the intermission shows tonight for the Detroit broadcast of this Red Wings and Leafs game here tonight between these two teams. I'll get to some props in a moment. Goose, what do you think? Your Leafs here tonight against the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, I can hear the boos from all the boys and the girls already, but that's okay. I'm going to throw a couple stats at you. Detroit's 4-1 straight up in their last 5 against Toronto, and 5-2 straight up in their last 7 road games. The under is 4-2 in the last 6 games between Toronto and Detroit, so there's definitely a trend showing there. And Leafs are 3-5 in their last 8 games against the puck line as favorites, while Detroit is 13-5 versus the puck line in the last 18 as dogs. I'm not on a side here either way. I should be, but I'm not. I like the Leafs in this. but I'm worried about Detroit because they always seem to play us well. What I will say is I took a shot at this one because I have a feeling I'm on the other side of this. I think it's going to go hard and I think it's going to go high. So I got over full game 6.5 this morning at plus 110. And then I'll throw out a couple of my props here. I grabbed Alex DeBrincat has been scoring a point 3 straight games in 5 of his last 6. So I've got him for a point at minus 135. I've got Nyes for an anytime goal. That came in at plus 190. Willie for a power play point is plus 225. So I grabbed that. Pacioretty for a point. 1 point is plus 115. And then I actually have my bargain bet. My bargain bet comes from this game, so we'll touch that one later. But I am also looking at Larkin to have an assist in this game. I don't have the number written down, but I'm pretty sure it was around plus 185 for Larkin to have an assist tonight.
Yeah, Dylan Larkin got the kick in the pants from his coach a few games ago, and I remember the Buffalo game in particular. He got both goals in that game against the Buffalo Sabres. And like I said, it's more so just I think he was more complaining about kind of the defensive side of it, but certainly the offensive side of it since the reprimand from Mr. Lalonde. It's been a nice couple of games here for Dylan Larkin for the Detroit Red Wings, no question. And he got a goal and an assist against Chicago as well the other night. So 2 points against Chicago, 2 goals against Buffalo, since Lalonde said we kind of need more from our captain. So great response from Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, just one more thing too, because as we're talking about in the chat, we're talking about Anthony Stolarz, and yes, he's had a fantastic start to the year. He's been one of, if not the best backup goaltender in the National Hockey League over the last several seasons. There is no reason to start crowning this man as a top 10 or top 5 goalie in the league just yet. You are pushing it way too far if you're really on that train. This guy is lights out right now, but this is right now. Okay, last year we saw Cam Talbot have one of the best first half runs in a long time, and then we saw him fall off the cliff in the second half. So let's not jump to conclusions here, but Stolarz is definitely playing well, and that's a huge boost and a huge grab for Toronto, knowing that you have him. If nobody else, if Wall can't stay healthy, some of these other guys can't pan out, you grabbed one here with Stolarz, and you got a good one so far.
Yeah, no question about that. And of course, I've mentioned him in every game, and he's been great. I think he scored the other night, too, in the shutout against Boston. We got to go back to the well with hungry Nyes. 1 goal from you, and I can't describe. Matthew Nyes, absolutely. Now we're not getting him at the bargain bin prices anymore. There's finally been an adjustment. Plus 240, though, is still pretty good with the way he's scoring, and he's on the top line, and still a good bet. Worthy of making for sure. All right, Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington minus 190. Home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. Back-to-back spot for the Penguins after getting a thumping in Carolina down in Kakalaki last night. They'll try to bounce back here against the Washington Capitals. You know, it's been weird about this series history last year in particular. 4 meetings, the road team won every game. Washington won twice in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh won twice in Washington. I don't know if that's going to carry over to this game because I would damn sure don't want to step in front of Washington at the moment. Nice 3-2 win for them against Nashville the other night. 8-2 in their last 10 games. 9-3 overall. Don't look now, but guess who's moved to near the top of the futures board for the Jack Adams right now? Spencer Carberry. And it is a very impressive job that he has done here early on for the Washington Capitals. We'll see how they fare here tonight against Pittsburgh. Charlie Lindgren confirmed in net tonight for the Capitals as they continue to alternate him and Thompson. Lindgren's numbers, 2.7 goals against, .896 save percentage, 3-3 is his record. I don't think he's nearly been as good as Logan Thompson this year, in my opinion, for the Washington Capitals. Not saying Lindgren's been bad, but he's definitely not been nearly as good. Meanwhile, Yoel Blomqvist is expected to be in net, although it hasn't been confirmed yet for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You would expect it, though, with Nedeljkovic getting the start last night. His numbers aren't very good. We know that. 2-4, 3.47 goals against averages. Actually, the save percentage is not bad. The goals against, though, 3.47 for him coming into this one. You look at the fact, again, it's been a road team-dominated series. But, you know, I like what I'm seeing from Washington. I'm going to take the Capitals team total. I think that's probably the best approach. And you look at what they're doing at home as far as scoring goals. Their last 5 home games, they have scored at least 4 goals in 4 of those 5 games. So they've been very, very good scoring goals here at home. Like I said, I like the idea of backing them here. They've got the rest advantage, but I think the team total is, why would you lay minus 190? And I want no part of Washington at minus 190, minus 200, when I can take over 3.5 with the Capitals at minus 130. That is definitely a much better price here for this particular matchup. I know, Bailey, you've said this several times. It's a trappy spot for all these teams facing Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's still finding a way to shit the bed. That's the problem. I get it. There's, this is it's always going to look like a trap. It's always going to look like a trap when it's a very bad hockey team that you're thinking of betting on. But it's tough. I mean, they're not playing well, and they've had good spots, and they haven't taken advantage of it. I actually don't think this is a good spot because Washington's got the rest advantage. So I'm just going to go Capitals team total over. Very tempted by the first period and full game over by Fecta as well. I might sprinkle on that, but I don't love it. Alex, what do you think here? Penguins, Capitals.
Yeah, I'm looking at those totals, but I like those in game. I'm not laying 144, up to 150 in that first period over. So waiting for that to drop a little. Maybe my buy price would be about $1.25. And with 6.5, I'm trying to get especially now, like I said, a lot of books are moving off of half goals. So use that 6.5. Won't just drop to 5.5. It'll go and be at 6. So you can get a 6 and a plus price before it hits to a 5.5. That'll probably be my mode of attack for this game. I talked about it about maybe 20 minutes before we went on air, and I said it on Twitter. I'll be glad, it'll be awful for us as hockey fans when Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin retire. Those have been 2 of the greatest players we've ever watched. But I'll be really happy to never hear again, this is the meeting of battle between Crosby and Ovechkin. I'm so sick of this shit. Like, this is a rivalry that's been great for well before I was born. Pittsburgh and Washington, it's been a good rivalry since the 80s. All right, since this is the early 80s. And to water it down and just put it as number 8 against number 87. And they keep running this shit over and over. The NHL PR account has tweeted 15 things about Crosby versus Ovechkin. And it's just enough with that. It's the worst way to market the series. Washington's a great team right now that was supposed to suck. Pittsburgh's a team that's trying to fight to stay relevant before they have to go through a decade-long rebuild. Like, there's storylines here that we could really shape up and sell instead of just talking about Crosby and Ovechkin. So I'm just annoyed with that shit. But yeah, looking at the first period and full game, over is looking for that end game at better prices.
All right. Yeah, there are some props I like for this game. This is a good prop game. Like I say, I like the Caps team total over a little bit. I like the over by Fecta in this game a little bit. A lot of the Pittsburgh-Washington games the last couple of years have had goals in them, too. That's why it was gravitating toward the over a little bit in this game. But there are a lot of props that I like, and we'll get to them in a moment. What do you think here, Goose? Pittsburgh, Washington.
Yeah, again, a couple trends that really jump out at me in this one. Washington's 9-2 straight up in their last 11. Washington is 7-0 straight up in their last 7 games at home. Pittsburgh on the road as a dog, Pittsburgh as a dog is 1-10-2. Away from the Igloo, they're 2-5-2. Everything points to the Caps winning this game.
2-7 on the roads for Pittsburgh, 7-1 overall at home for Washington.
Yeah,
so
it just screams the Caps all over the place. I took the full game this morning. I got it nice and early. I got it at minus 105 for a full game over at 6.5. I'm going to wait a couple minutes into the first period, and I'm probably going to double down on that. I honestly think this one's going over. For my props, really quick, I took PLD for an assist at plus 190. I've hit him 4 of my 7 bets when I take him for an assist. And at 190, plus 190, that's great odds for an assist with PLD, and he's been hitting it. I got Ovi for an anytime goal, plus 150. You're not going to get good odds on him anymore. But the multi-goal, I'm waiting for those odds to come up on the one site I'm dealing with here in Ontario. So I'll probably bet the multi-goal with him as well. For Pittsburgh, I've got Bunting, anytime goal, plus 360. This, to me, is a game where he's going to be going to the net, and he's probably going to get it's what we know as the Corey Perry goal, right on his knees and shovels it in. I think tonight's the night Bunting shows up. And the other one that I really like this one, Lars Eller for Pittsburgh, under shots on goal, 2.5. He in his last 5 games he was 1-1-0-1-0. So he's not even coming close to the 2.5. I got the 2.5 at under at plus 185. So that to me, I think is a, again, we don't like the shots on goal. I don't like betting them because you're going to get fucked somewhere along the way. That's one. But to me, with his last 5 games and the way what Washington's playing, I think that's a good one tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of props I like. I like Crosby to score tonight because he didn't score the last game, but he had 5 goals in the 3 games before that. He's always going to be riled up to play Washington. And obviously Ovechkin, too. I mean, he's on a 5-game goal streak. I believe 6 goals in the last 5 games for Ovi. Yeah. So he has been really strong as far as that's concerned. So those 2 guys for a goal prop. And I'm going to do something in this game for a little bit extra. Maybe a big payday coming my way if this hits. I think it's at least worth placing a couple bucks on it. I think it's got a shot here. A goal scorer parlay with Sidney Crosby for Pittsburgh, Ovi for Washington, and I'm going to tack on for Washington too the other 2 red-hot scorers for them that I've had a ton of goal props with lately for them. Protas, who I had a bargain bin winner with the other night, and Connor McMichael. Those 2 guys. So I'm going to go Crosby, Ovechkin, McMichael, and Protas in a little goal prop here tonight, 75-1.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Plus 7,500. How about that?
I like that. I like the look of that.
It's got a shot. It's got a shot because Connor McMichael is scoring in almost every game. Ovechkin's scoring in almost every game. Protas is on the top line with Strome and Ovechkin. He's been scoring lately. And throw Crosby in there because it's Pittsburgh versus Washington, and he's the guy carrying. He's the one bright light for the Penguins right now, is what the captain Sidney Crosby is doing for them. So yeah, and you can do a point parlay with them, Raymond, to be safe. There's nothing wrong with that either. But they've been scoring though; they've been putting the puck in the net, so that's why I'm okay taking a shot with the goal parlay instead at 75-1. That's Crosby, Ovechkin, McMichael, and Protas. Those 4 guys goal parlay tonight. Here in this Pittsburgh and Washington game. So I'm excited. I'm actually looking forward to that game. All right, Vegas and Seattle. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights minus 135, road favorite, 6 the total here in this game. How about Vegas? Off the road schneid with their first road victory of the season the other night against Edmonton with Connor McDavid back in the lineup. They get the 4-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see how they if they can keep it rolling here and put 2 good wins in a row together on the road against the Seattle Kraken, who, they're getting cracked right now. The Seattle Kraken, a really rough road trip. Other than it started out well, that 8-2 win against Montreal. But it's been a really tough few weeks here for Dan Bylsma's team. They lost the last 3 games of their homestand before the trip against Colorado, Winnipeg, and Carolina. Now, granted, those are 3 pretty tough opponents, but they lose all 3 of those games. They start the road trip with a dominant blowout win against Montreal, and you think, hey, maybe Seattle just needed to get on the road and get things rolling. But that was the only win they had on that road trip. They lose 4-1 to Toronto, shut out in back-to-back games by Ottawa and Boston. And then they go to Colorado, and finally they score some goals. They get 3, but they give up 6 to the Avalanche in that game, and they lose 6-3 against the Colorado Avalanche. So a lengthy trip that went through 5 different places, Northeast for the most part, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Boston. Then they go to Colorado. Now they're finally back home. Very, very tough scheduling spot here for the Seattle Kraken. Can Vegas take advantage of it? Vegas has won 5 of the last 6 versus the Seattle Kraken. I took Vegas here, minus 130, minus 135. It's just a very, very tricky for me to take Seattle in this spot. I know Vegas has been a bad road team last year. They're bad so far this year until the win against Edmonton, but I think the Edmonton win maybe puts a little pep in their step here going into this game that, hey, we got to start playing better hockey on the road. We're not going to play every game at T-Mobile Arena this year. We do have to play 41 of these away from home. And I think finally getting a road win is going to be something that maybe propels Vegas here tonight. Joey Decord in net for the Seattle Kraken tonight. Aiden Hill expected, not yet confirmed here for the Vegas Golden Knights. But for me, it's difficult to not take Vegas right now in this spot. And Seattle's struggling right now, and they're going to have to prove otherwise before I'm ready to back them. And for all the Vegas struggles, Seattle's actually got one fewer win at Climate Pledge Arena, their home building, than they do on the road. So it's been just almost as bad Seattle trying to win at home so far this season. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Seattle.
Yeah, I'm keeping it simple. We got the first period over here, and I laid $1.28 at FanDuel with that. Like, Vegas has been one of the best teams of the first period over, and like I said, we don't need to rely on Seattle. I think we can get a couple of goals from Vegas, so I might lean toward that first period puck line as well. Grab that at a plus price.
I haven't given up on Seattle yet. There's going to be spots to back them moving forward, but they're in a funk right now, and it's not a great spot either, coming off that really long, tough road trip against a very good Vegas team just waiting for them. Like I said, they just need to get through this rough cycle in their schedule, and try to, get their ship righted here moving forward. Matt W., good find. You can get better than 75-1 with the goal parlay I mentioned in the Penguins Capitals game at FanDuel. Very good then. No, I haven't bet it yet. I was just putting it in the Bet365 parlay calculator. I'm going to have to bet it at FanDuel then. We'll get a better price. No doubt if we go there and take that. I agree with the first period over. Alex is right. Vegas still for the year 9-4 first period overs on the season, so very strong. I might even tack on the first period, just the first period over. I don't think I like the full game. What do you think here in this one, Goose? Vegas, Seattle.
I'm in with Alex. I grabbed Vegas first period puck line plus 140. I've got the Vegas full game puck line minus 1.5 at plus 165. And the reason for that is Vegas is 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games when playing on the road against Seattle. Like you said, Seattle coming back home off that long road trip. This is definitely a letdown spot, in my opinion. And Vegas is also 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games against Seattle. So to me, again, this screams a Vegas spot. I like the look of it. And of course, I'm not gonna step out too hard. I'm looking at Matty Beniers for an anytime goal plus 300. Got Mark Stone anytime goal plus 200, and I'm looking at my man Hannafin, 1 assist plus 170. That's all I've really got on that game right now. I'm just kind of waiting. I want to get one more look at the lineups before I do anything else. But like I say, all the trends I look at and everything I look at screams Vegas, and it screams that I think that puck line is a really good look right now. So,
yep, I don't disagree there. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But like I said, this is a really tough spot for Seattle. Like I said, they're not struggling right now, and not an easy opponent to have to come all. And the thing is, too, Vegas, we know how they play, right? You've been traveling. You've been playing all these good teams, and tough trip like Seattle did. You come home and you've got a team that's going to play hard, heavy, physical, forecheck, cycle the puck type hockey like Vegas does. That's a team that could wear you out when you're coming back home off a long road trip. So it's not just the trip and the struggles and the bad current form for Seattle. It's that they're already feeling it, and they're probably in their legs with all the travel, weary. And now this Vegas team that can wear you out with how big and physical they play, big on the blue line, of course, and that could make things a little bit difficult here for the Seattle Kraken, rather, here in this game tonight. As far as props for this game, for Vegas, Barbashev, Dorofeyev, it's worth a look here, in my opinion, as well. Right now, Brett Howden on the second line. Obviously, Jack Eichel with a great goal the other night against the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe him for a couple of points. On the Seattle side of the equation here, look, it's hard to find people that are really filling it up right now. But Matty Beniers has shown some real signs of life. He did get a goal for them, a couple of goals, in fact, on the road trip. So maybe a Matty Beniers look right now for the Seattle Kraken here in this one. All right, final game of this Friday slate, the Minnesota Wild. Back in action again on back-to-back nights on the West Coast, taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Minnesota minus 200 road favorites. 6 the total in this one, shaded to the under. Minnesota with a big-time bounce back after probably their worst performance of the year when they lost 5-1 to LA at home. They get a 5-2 win against the San Jose Sharks last night. Let's give this Minnesota team credit for being the road warriors that they've become this year. 6-2. On the road. They've already got a road win at Tampa and a road win against the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers on their resume already this season. So they have definitely done a nice job away from home. It's expected to be Philip Gustafson in net tonight, with Fleury getting the nod last night against San Jose. So expect Gustafson tonight. Lukas Dostal has already been confirmed here for the Anaheim Ducks. Brilliant numbers, but only 4 and 5 for a record. 2.5 goals against, 930 save percentage. And what I'm concerned about, and I said this a few games ago with Dostal, every night he's facing 30, 40 shots for the majority. And you're wearing the poor kid out. You can't have him facing that kind of rubber every single night. And sure enough, here the last 2 games that he started, he gives up 4 to Chicago, and he gives up 5 to Vancouver the other night. If as great as he is and as great as he will be, you're going to wear this kid the fuck out if you just keep making him face all this kind of rubber every single night and all this shot volume. And that's what you're concerned about with Anaheim. Suppressing shots is not something they're doing a good enough job of right now. And it's at the detriment of their very good young goalie at the moment. It's been dominance as far as this series. I mean, Minnesota 9-1 against Anaheim in this series history. In Anaheim in particular, here at the Honda Center, 4 meetings since 2021 here in Anaheim. And Minnesota wins all 4, 2-1, 4-1, 4-1, and 4-0 last year. So it's been pretty distinct how good Minnesota's played here in this recent series history. I'm tempted to lean right back with the team total over on the Wild. I don't like it as much as last night with them being on a back-to-back. Not a game I have a strong side or total feel for. I'm definitely not going to jump in front of Minnesota here or this great dominance they've had against Anaheim right now. I lean a little to the Wild team total over. Maybe we'll sprinkle a little bit on that, but nothing significant here for me this game. Alex, what do you think here? Wild Ducks.
I've got a pair of player props that I like, but I'll be talking about a little bit later in this game.
All right, there you go. A little tease, I think, for the bargain bin special later on. There you go. That's a great stat. Ducks 6-31 in their last 37 games as a home underdog in this range, plus 150 to plus 200. Yeah, that's not good. And it is back-to-back for Minnesota. It's a rest advantage for Anaheim. I get that, but they're just too dominant over this team. And obviously, they've been a road warrior, Minnesota, all year. They've been great on the road, 6-2. Yeah, there's just not enough to get me interested in Anaheim here tonight. Goose, what do you think here, Minnesota, Anaheim?
Yeah, the first thing that jumped out when I looked at this game this morning, Ducks have given up 36 goals while only scoring 25. So you're minus 11 on the differential. You can't give up that many shots and not expect to have the goals go in. So based on that number and a couple other things I looked at, I have the Minnesota team total over 3.5 at plus 110. I got that early this morning. I'm also looking at the over 5.5. I think that's going to fly. I grabbed at it was minus 120. I do believe I grabbed it this morning. And I'm probably
worried you might
it again.
4-0, 4-1 all over again, because the last 3 wins for Minnesota in Anaheim were 4-0, 4-1, and 4-1.
That's my one fear is that 5.5 is I need Anaheim to either get 2 and Minnesota's going to get their 4, or Minnesota's going to have to get 5 or better. I'm willing to take that chance. The way Kaprizov has been scoring goals the last little bit, he's found his game. I think this is a good game for him. I got him as a multi-goal scorer and an anytime goal scorer. Plus, I'm also on Frank the Tank Vetrano coming back to Anaheim. Anytime goal plus 230. Got that. And I'm looking at our man Cutter Gauthier. Over 2.5 shots on goal is minus 114. He's been over this number. I've got written down 4 of 6. So 4 of the last 6 games, he's went over this number. Again, I don't have enough faith in the Ducks to win. So I'm definitely looking at Minnesota. I just think this is another bad spot for Anaheim. And I think this is probably just the start of what is another shitty season, which is a shame. Because, again, this is a team that's loaded with lots of young talent. They just can't seem to put it together. They can't seem to turn that corner. So definitely looking Minnesota across the board. Like I say, team total, Kaprizov, multi-goal, anytime goal. And if you even want, I probably will also look at multi-points. So it's going to be a Kaprizov night for me.
Here's the issue with Anaheim. It's the blue line. That's clearly still the issue. Cam Fowler's always hurt. He's a game-time decision tonight, and he's the veteran. And after that, you got a bunch of youth. You got Olin Zellweger is going to be really good, but it's going to take him time. Jackson Lacombe, same thing. Radko Gudas isn't playing with that vim and vigor that he did in Florida in the playoffs a couple of years ago. It's almost like, I don't want to say he's lacking motivation, but when you're playing on a younger team and a much worse team, it's hard to be at your best and be in that mindset to be at your best every night. And he's still slow of foot as well. We know that. That's all. He's got to be in good position with his body and stick position if he's going to be effective. Dumoulin's best days are behind him, clearly. He's on that blue line as well. And I like Minchikov, but, you're still asking a guy to play a lot of minutes for a guy that's still young. And I like his offensive game, but he's been prone to some gaffes. And the bottom line is, as a group and as a collective on that blue line, you're just giving up far too many grade A chances, far too many looks, far too many shots on goal. And that continues to be the issue right now for the Anaheim Ducks. So the composition of that blue line right now, let's be honest, it's subpar. And until that gets fixed, it's hard to see them making a ton of inroads and improvement significantly in what's a very tough division and what's a very tough conference. I would say if you like Minnesota, this is just going to be a light bet for me, but you can't ignore how much Minnesota's dominated and how good they've been on the road. I do like the team total over 3.5. Be careful with the first period puck line, because in the last 3 wins that Minnesota's had in Anaheim, 4-0, 4-1, and 4-1, it was actually scoreless after the first period in all 3 games. So it was after the opening period that it took for Minnesota to kind of open the game up. So that's why I'm not on the first period puck line, because I did look at Minnesota first period puck line, but that got me off it when I saw it was 0-0 with these 2 teams. The last 3, maybe a 0-0 first period correct score tonight. Maybe I'm talking myself into that now that I'm talking here. That the last 3 times the Wild and the Ducks have played each other head-to-head in Anaheim, it's been scoreless after 20 minutes of play. So why not a little bit of a 0-0? Yep.
If you cash that, that's your buy sign, and then go over for the full game at the beginning of the second period. Because you're looking at 4.5 plus money, or maybe even 3.5 landing price.
Yeah, exactly.
No question. Yeah, as far as props, Kaprizov over 1.5 points, I could see it tonight. He got back on track with 3 points in the game against San Jose last night. Rossi's always worth a look for them too. So keep an eye on that. Zuccarello's been solid. Eriksson Ek, anyone in that regard worth a look. As far as Anaheim, it's hard to find someone that's really, firing on all cylinders right now offensively. But I will give credit to someone that's really started to percolate a little bit. Cutter Gauthier still hasn't scored a goal yet, and we're waiting on him. No doubt to try to get things going, but especially on home ice at times this year, I've seen Leo Carlsson step up, and Ryan Strome's been a bit of a pleasant surprise this year for Anaheim. He stepped up in a few games as well, but again, it's hard to find widespread offensive contributions right now for the Anaheim Ducks. Great stuff with Goose. Awesome job him joining us for this special guest appearance, if you will, on this Friday edition of the show. Hit the like button, everyone watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. All our bonus content there, goalie charts, totals charts. We're going to have exclusive live betcasts later in the year, only to Patreon members. And, of course, the daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So sign up. And, again, the $10 per month subscription helps support the show. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month.
Yes, also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. It's Veterans Day weekend, so you can save 22% off of your order. As soon as you go to the website, click on the redeem button at the top of the page, add everything to your cart, and that will be taken out once you get to checkout. So 22% off all weekend long for Veterans Day weekend, available at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, yeah, check out the store. Great, you can get your merch there indeed. All right, we've got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Social. And a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right. Shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including, of course, Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. All right. Bargain bin special of the night. We got 4 games to choose from for this Friday. Alex, what do you like for the bargain bin special?
So, Ian, you said Air Canada Center earlier. Goose, you mentioned the Igloo. So how about we go to Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim for this one? Got the Wild hanging on the Ducks.
To keep the fucking old theme going, yeah.
Exactly, right? Right. Definitely showing our age, all of us. But yeah, so there's 2 plays that I like here, and I mentioned it, and it's with the Minnesota Wild. Marco Rossi skating on the top line. Like I said, everybody's kind of rocking and rolling with that top 6 getting goals. You can grab him plus 320 anytime goal scorer over at BetMGM. You can also grab him plus 310 at FanDuel. And I mentioned FanDuel because my second bargain bin play is a combo play that you can make there at FanDuel. I like the Minnesota Wild to win and Marco Rossi to score a goal. You can grab that at plus 410. So Marco Rossi anytime goal, plus 320 at BetMGM. Marco Rossi to score and the Minnesota Wild to win, plus 410, available at FanDuel. So it's a double bargain bin special this Friday night.
All right, I like it. The double bargain bin special for Alex B. Smith here in this one. Goose, what have you got for your bargain bin tonight?
Well, I'm glad to see great minds think alike, Alex, because I've got 2 of them as well for bargain bin. I kind of went looking, and I can hear the boos because we're going to Toronto. And the first one is when these teams played last in October, early October, only 2 goals got scored in this game, and they were both scored by Nick Robertson. So first bargain bin shot is Nick Robertson, anytime goal, plus 425. I think tonight is another night where he needs to start stepping up. And with Matthews gone, this is a good spot for him to start making an effort and making a showing. My second one is I'm going with Matthew Nice to score first. I got that at plus 725 this morning. So first goal scorer in the game, Matthew Nice, Nick Robertson, anytime goal, 4.25. Those are my 2 bargain bin picks for tonight.
All right, bargain bin special. 2 Toronto Maple Leafs for Goose with his bargain bin specials for this game for tonight. I'm going to go with a Leaf as well, believe it or not, in the Detroit and Toronto game. And this is another one where just look, the well has run dry for this guy. It's been a tough season so far offensively, but I saw incredible opportunity. First of all, he's filling the void left by Austin Matthews' absence, top line center. Right now in that role, I think Matt Robinson used him as his bargain bin special the night in the game against Boston, and I saw him play that night for the Leafs, and he had a couple dangle moves and a couple of really great moves and everything but the finish. He was stopped by Swayman on a couple of them, and I think he almost hit the post on one. He is so close to getting finally his first goal of the season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to be back centering the top line tonight because Matthews is out once again. Max Domi, he is long overdue for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm going to take a shot at plus 360 with Max Domi to find the back of the net here tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Detroit Red Wings. So Max Domi, plus 360 for Toronto, my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
We're going to go with that Detroit-Toronto draw. You can get it as high as plus 380 at FanDuel. I just really feel comfortable with this game going past 60 minutes. I think this would be a good back-and-forth battle. Should be a fun one to watch. Like I said, Stolarz has been a solid goaltender. Detroit, needs to find a way to get their defense consistently going. Make sure to kind of limit the chances here. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring of a game, to be honest. I think this is going to be kind of a slow plodding game, but it's going to be a good back and forth battle, enough to where we go past 60 minutes and cash that draw. So plus 380 with the Leafs and Wings to go to overtime. My best bet.
All right, that is a draw I like as well. Red Wings Leafs plus 380 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain. Or not his bargain, but his best bet. Goose, what do you like for best bet?
So surprised, I'm not sticking with Toronto. I'm actually going to Pittsburgh and Washington. My original best bet was the full game over -105. I feel really confident about this because you got Bloomquist is he's not fully confirmed, but that's probably who's going to start for Pittsburgh. I don't have any faith in him. Again, I don't have any faith in Pittsburgh, but I think they can get one, maybe two, and I think the floodgates are going to open for Washington. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to jump back in after we get offline, and I'm going to add in Ovi as an anytime goal scorer along with that full game over. I think that'll should give it around a plus, maybe plus 185, maybe even a plus 200, depending on how it works out. But my best bet is full game over plus Ovi as an anytime goal scorer in Washington, Pittsburgh.
There you go. That's a combo. Ovi anytime goal scorer and over for Goose with Pittsburgh, Washington for his best bet for this Friday slate. My best bet, there's nothing I love, but I'm going to go with the back end of that Pittsburgh, Washington game with the total, and that's the over for the full game. That's what I'm going to rock with for best bet. It just feels like when it's been Penguins Capitals all these years. Now, not as much the last year, but going back 5 years, there's been a lot of higher scoring affairs. It's almost like these teams still get juiced up, and they really bring it because they still hear it from all the media people that are covering the game that it's Penguins Capitals. It's still this great rivalry. It's still Crosby versus Ovechkin. And look, Pittsburgh's not going to like only scoring one goal. What's the only thing they're good at? Scoring goals. They're not good defensively. So they know that they have to win. We've got to try to score some goals. That probably opens the game up a little bit. So I will buy into the over here. Pittsburgh, Washington, over 6.5, -115 for my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. And Goose, actually, we'll give Goose the floor to say some final words before we wrap it up because we've enjoyed having him on. And all I can say is regards to Mama Goose, we wish her all the best. And like I say, health, happiness, recovery down the road. And again, you're in Ontario for a while, so we hope you enjoy your stay here. Province.
So I'll give everybody a quick overview. Mama York had a stroke. She's doing well in the hospital. She's in Aurelia. I came into Ontario Tuesday. I'm here till tomorrow night. I fly back to Calgary, set up some stuff for my wife. She's going to stay there. I'm coming back to Ontario December 2nd for minimum 3 months, if not the full winter, 6 months. So I'll be in Ontario. I'm going to get to watch Leaf games. Holy shit. I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to do. That's only 3 now. So the under, we should all take the under on that. Fuck. Anyway, final thoughts. Again, Pittsburgh, I think they're going to be junked the rest of the year. I really do believe that. I think we should be betting against them more and more. I do like the look of Toronto. They seem to be playing better without Matthews, but when he comes back, they have to keep that rolling. That's my one fear, and we showed that last year. When he came back, all of a sudden they went on a 3-game losing skid. So once Matthews comes back, I'd like to see them pick it up. And then I like the look of Minnesota. I was worried about Minnesota this year to start the season. I didn't think they had enough. So far, they're proving me wrong, and I'll start to kind of rock with them a little more, watching the schedule going forward. Other than that, happy Friday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holiday on Monday if you get it off. Everybody be safe. And if Rico's watching, I'll see you in Barrie tonight, buddy. We'll get together for a beer at the party. Cheers.
All right. That's great to hear. Reuniting with our guy, or another friend of the show, Rico and Barrie, of course. Nice to hear that. Great stuff. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday through Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, our special guest, Goose, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we will see you tomorrow on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys.
Cheers, everybody.